For those of you that have been on our YouTube page, you'll notice that that's how we always start all of our videos. So welcome. We are thrilled to unleash our wanderlust. Explore the world in comfort as your journey begins on an escorted friendship tours adventure with Viking River Cruises. This is Paris and the Swiss Alps. Today's agenda. So I wanted to let you know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to travel together, and we're of course going to go all from Zurich to Paris. We're going to do some quick introductions for those unfamiliar with Friendship Tours. And I know there aren't many of you that are on the call at this point, but for those that don't know, we were founded in 1977. Friendship Tours was actually started by my mother, Lois, and her joy for travel actually started really early on. So actually in 1958, I know no one on this call remembers that year, but she was going into high school. She decided, her and her Girl Scout troop, that they wanted to go to Europe, which is kind of apropos for the itinerary that we're doing today. One of the areas that they actually visited was the Alps. And during that trip, which was about 2 months, 25 girls, they built friendships that lasted their entire lifetime. And friendship through travel, that's actually how Friendship Tours gets its name. Today in Bloomfield, Connecticut, there are about 9 of us full-time in the office, all of our tour directors, and we still, that is our goal, is to create friendships while traveling and create memories that last a lifetime. So a little bit about Friendship Tours. The Ship Shop is part of our company, and the Ship Shop is our cruise division. So today we're going to talk about an itinerary that of course is escorted tour. So that means our staff is actually going to be, and I'm lucky enough to actually be taking this trip myself. So we're going to be leaving those that start off in Bradley or need transportation. We'll talk a little bit about all the things that are included, but that's going to actually fly over to Zurich, 2 nights, 7 nights cruise, and finish with 2 nights in Paris. So we've now done our introduction. The next part is actually a little bit about Viking cruises. What I love is it's so important to know who you are, but sometimes it's also just important to know who you aren't, meaning that you know exactly what and who is going to go on your tours or be a part of your journey. And Viking does such a great job. And we normally would have our Viking rep on with us. And unfortunately, she was traveling today, but don't worry, we have Lauren with us via video that she did for us ahead of time. So before we get to that, I do want to share something that I absolutely love. The owner of Viking Cruises, I think, really sums up so much of today's travel world, and that is about our beginnings, but being curious. So I wanted to share this with you, and then we'll go into a little message from Lauren as well.
Growing up in a little red house on the edge of a large forest in Norway, there were 3 things we were encouraged to be. To be kind, to be honest, and to be hardworking. These are things that each of us can control. Over time, I've come to add a 4th. Be curious. Be curious about the world around us, about the history and cultures of places we have yet to go. And then go. Go with an open heart and a curious mind, and you will find inspiration anew. The world awaits. Be curious.
Viking, exploring the world in comfort.
And I really think that is at the heart of what this journey on the Viking rivers that we're going to be doing. So it gives you a great idea. And next, what I want to do is, along with our outline for the day, is talk a little bit about, if you've never cruised with Viking, river cruising is definitely a little bit different than cruising on the big ocean ships. They have really great ways. Number one is the rivers. When Europe was basically settled, it was a super highway of transportation back in the day. And it still is a wonderful way to be able to go and explore. And so Lauren is going to take us a little bit through what Viking is and what it is not, so that you really understand what this trip is about and make sure that it's a trip for you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Green. I'm the Director of Business Development here for Viking in the New England, upstate New York area. I'm sorry I couldn't come to you live today. I am traveling all over the place and at an event currently. So I wanted to make sure I did show up at some point though and join in on the fun. I would be remiss if I didn't get to spend time with you all. And I know you're in good hands though, even though I'm not there, because Friendship Tours are actually the best travel agency that we have in New England and upstate New York. They know more about travel and Viking than I could ever even give them information on. So you are in definitely good hands. Some of my favorite people on the planet, with Brett and Donna and everyone there at the Friendship Tours headquarters. So I wanted to jump in today to just give you a little bit of a background on Viking, who we are, what we do, where we came from, where we're going, so you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect when you sail with us. When you travel with Viking, you are really experiencing the Viking difference. We are destination focused, culturally enriching, and carefully curated. We started back in 1997 on the rivers. We have redefined what river cruising is as we know it today, modern river cruising. Even though we're celebrating, I think, 25 years this year, which is so crazy to think about, we have an official river ship count. So we're up to 80 river ships. This year, we brought on 4 new Seine-class river ships for France, which dock right outside the Eiffel Tower. And then we just continue to grow with our river product. In 2015, we brought on our ocean cruising, which reinvented small ship ocean cruising as we know it today. And then now in 2022, we launched our expedition product, which started in Antarctica and is now in the Great Lakes for the summer. And then we have the Mississippi that starts this summer as well. So we're quite busy here at Viking, and we are loving every second of it. And we continue to thank you all for traveling with us and choosing us time and time again for your vacation. No matter where you sail with us, whether that is river, ocean, Europe, France, you're going to Asia, doesn't matter. Our philosophy does not waver. We do not try to be everything to everyone. We really focus on mature people with curious minds that have an interest in history, culture, and geography. Hopefully by the end of Friendship Tours presentation today, you realize that Viking is a very destination-oriented cruise line. It's a main focus of ours that we try to get you as close as we can to the iconic cities and quaint towns that you're traveling to. We offer a highly inclusive product, which I'll touch on in a minute. And then, of course, our staff. Those of you that have sailed with us before, you're probably nodding your head saying that our staff is amazing. It's one of those things that you really need to try for yourself. It's hard for me to explain it. It's one of those experiences that once you feel it and you go through it, you're so thankful for our staff and our crew, because they really do make the vacation and the trip what it needs to be. And that is the highest level of service that we can provide. When you step on board our ships, you'll notice it's a very serene Scandinavian space. So it's an understated elegance. You have spacious staterooms. There's elegant touches everywhere. It's quite simple at first, but then it takes you a day or two to realize all of the attention to detail that we have. For example, just a little story for you. I was sitting on our ocean ship. That bottom photo you see on the screen there to the left of the piano, I was sitting in one of those chairs and I was looking across the way at our bar. Of course, I'm always looking at the bar. But I noticed that our bar stools all paired up into twos. And on the back, they created this really cool piece of art. So I asked the bartender what it was, and he said that it is actually a Norwegian flower. We originated in Norway, so that makes sense. It's a Norwegian flower that when the two chairs come together, you can see the full flower is formed, and every single one of them are hand stitched. So that's just one example. A lot of people that I was on that trip with noticed many other pieces of artwork or attention to detail throughout the whole ship. Kind of takes you a day or two, but once you start realizing all the elegant touches, it's really something spectacular. We always have open light-filled spaces, floor-to-ceiling windows, so you never feel closed in. It doesn't feel dark. It's such a refreshing experience to step on board our ships. And we really are the thinking person's cruise. We are curated for the curious traveler. We travel to explore, to learn, to understand the destinations that you're going to. Even before you sail, we will send you recommended filmographies. We'll share in cultural videos, recommended readings, all about the region that you'll be in. We have many activities on board and ashore that share in the region's cultures. So you might have a Taste of Austria event or Taste of Germany event, whatever it may be, wherever you are in the world. We always try to have local cuisine, beer, wine, drinks, whatever it is on board the ship. We bring local performances on board so that even when we're sailing, you're still all fully encompassed in the destination. And then we want you to always connect with your fellow travelers. There's nothing worse than getting on a ship for 15 days and realizing that the person that you just traveled with overseas and are stuck on a ship for 15 days, you absolutely hate traveling with. So don't make that mistake like I have before. Meet your fellow travelers on board a Viking ship and you will continue to sail with them time and time again. Now, the Viking way of exploration really offers a behind the scenes insight and opportunities that set us apart from other travel companies. So we include one shore excursion every port of call that provides an overview of must see cultural and historic highlights with some delightful surprises as well. These expertly guided tours will bring you closer to the art, architecture, history, and people that define your destination. While we include the expected and the iconic, such as visits to renowned museums and notable landmarks, we also go beyond and offer local life, working world, and our privileged access experiences that open doors to places otherwise quite difficult to visit. So we offer experiences that are not buyable all over the world. My absolute favorite is our privileged access experiences, where our friends and family all over the universe open up their homes and their art collections, their castles, their cathedrals, whatever it may be, to the Viking guest. And we get usually a before or after tour, a private collection tour of these places all over the world. So when you're looking at your voyage, take a look at those optional shore excursions. If they have a privileged access banner on it, usually it's in red or gray, something like that, then you know it's going to be a really special experience. I always like to say who we are by what we are not. So when most cruise lines are really busy building bigger and more over-the-top ships, offering a multitude of experience to a broad spectrum of ages, we really focus on the Viking way. So what that is you will not find no casinos. We do not have any children under the age of 18. We don't believe in having you sit on board and spend a ton of money. We want you off the ship enjoying the port of call. So we do not have any umbrella drink of the day, photographers, art auctions on board our ships. If you are on an ocean ship with us, we have self-service laundrettes at no extra charge. We have a no entrance fee for the spa. You just have to pay for services. We don't have any inside staterooms, no smoking, no lines. And then my favorite, no formal nights, butlers, or white gloves. So you don't have to pack your suits, your ties, your gowns. Leave all that at home and just enjoy the traveling that you're doing. Now, what is exactly included? You will have one shore excursion every port of call. You have all your onboard meals, your choice of multiple dining venues. We have wine, beer, and soft drinks that are available with lunch and dinner. Now, there is a beverage package you can add on, and Brett or Donna or whoever, Heidi, whoever, can explain the beverage package in detail with you. It's amazing. We have specialty coffees and teas that are available for you 24 hours a day, bottled water. Even when you're going off to explore for the day, we'll hand you a bottled water for you to enjoy. Free Wi-Fi. If you're in a land portion with us, we will make sure that your hotel is a first-class hotel. We have your in-room infotainment system, and then all port charges and government taxes are included in your price. So your price is your price. We don't nickel and dime you once you get on board. It's a very minimal amount of things that you would add on. Maybe you pay drink by drink, or you want to purchase a beverage package when you get on board, or any optional excursions. And that's pretty much that. The beauty of Friendship Tours is that they will package everything together for you. So like I said, you're in good hands with that. They always put together a phenomenal trip for you guys with everything included. And I know now Brett's going to go over our beautiful, beautiful Viking Longships and the itinerary that you guys are focusing on today. So thank you so much for having me. And Brett, I'll let you take it away.
And I love Lauren. Doesn't she do a great job? I know she wasn't with us in person, but you would never know the difference. She's the best and gives such a great idea. I also, she brought up a couple things that make Viking really unique. One is this privileged access. And I'll just tell you a short little story, which is when we were actually in Windmills and Tulips, we were in Amsterdam on King's Day. And just before going to King's Day back to Amsterdam, we were in Hoorn, Holland. And one of the accesses was actually to go to a person's home and just ask questions. What was King's Day? For those that don't know, that's a celebration of the king's birthday. And it's really interesting how each town basically handles it. In some ways, it's like 4th of July, New Year's Eve, and the biggest tag sale you've ever seen. It is uniquely Dutch and is definitely something that you need to experience. So lots of those things that are out there. But if you're a first timer and you haven't been on the ships, let's talk a little bit about what that is like and what you can expect.
If it's the first time you're going on a Viking River Cruise, let us give you an idea of what you'll experience and what life is like on your Viking ship. The moment you step on board, you'll realize that these ships are very special. They're designed specifically for river cruising, light, airy, and wonderfully spacious. With panoramic windows,
I think that somehow we got a little blip in the internet. So let's start that again for you all.
get seasick. You'll be pleasantly surprised when you check into your comfortable stateroom, all of which have wonderful river views. You'll find ensuite facilities and plenty of storage space. You can spend as much time as you like watching the world go by from one of the many elegant public areas on each ship. Relax on the sun deck. Enjoy a drink in the stylish and spacious lounge, or just read a book in the library. The food on board your Viking cruise ship is exceptional. From a sumptuous breakfast and a delicious lunch to a 5-course dinner, you'll enjoy the finest cuisine. The dress code is casual and comfortable, so there's no need to dress up for dinner. And there's no seating plan. You can sit wherever and with whomever you like. This is what life on board your floating hotel will be like. But unlike a hotel, it's taking you to different places. Places you can explore each time your ship arrives, often mooring right in the heart of a famous city or a quaint little village. Every Viking River Cruise offers a great selection of excursions, included in the price. Of course, there's always opportunities to explore on your own. If you're cruising with Viking for the first time, you'll be pleasantly surprised by what's included in the price. All meals on board. We'll even give you complimentary wine, beer, and soft drinks with lunch and dinner. And the price includes a host of fascinating shore excursions, so it's great value for money. We hope this gives you some idea of what to expect on your first Viking River Cruise, and we look forward to welcoming you on board.
So we are moving right along in our itinerary for the day. So we've now gone through the first 3 of these, and then we come to our itinerary. So this is a little bit different in that this tour starts off, we're going to fly, make our way into Zurich, and then we're going to actually be in a hotel for the first 2 nights. And we'll have a chance to explore. And Viking does an amazing job. So you'll be with the group if you're traveling, or if you travel on your own, you can certainly do that. But either way, when you arrive, the Viking staff will be there. So those that are traveling with me, I'll get everybody through customs, we'll get all our luggage, we'll then be greeted and motor coach to our hotel. That evening, so we've now flown over, and it's a 6-hour difference. So we'll leave on an evening flight usually and arrive what will feel like very early in the morning, our body time. All right. Then when we arrive at the ship, it's not like the big ships doing the embarkation. It is very personalized. On this particular one, because we're not going to the ship right away, we're going to still meet our tour director from Viking, and they are actually going to do a whole introduction into the hotel, our ticket, our keys, information packet for those that want to get a little bit of rest. You can go to your room and do that. For those that are ready to do a little exploring, they'll give some ideas of things that you might want to do. So let's look and see what this then becomes. After we have our days in Zurich, we'll motor coach to the ship. We'll then be on our river cruise for 7 nights. We'll then finish the river cruise and start the Paris part of it for 2 nights. So 10 included tours, and we'll go through all of this. So let's take a look, well, that's our map, at our day-to-day. So the one thing that gets a little confusing is whenever they do the itineraries, they're going to call it a 12-day tour. But you'll note that we are starting that day early. We're actually doing 13 days because that first one is our travel day. So if you kind of think of that as day 0, then day 1 on this list is going to be when we're already in Zurich and arriving at the airport. Okay. Then we have day 2. Day 3, we will go from Zurich to the ship. And on that day, we'll actually do Basel, Switzerland. Then we're on our 7-night cruise. So into France, into Germany, we'll actually go through Luxembourg, and eventually into France. And that would be the 4 countries. So 12 days of touring, right? 10 guided tours, 4 different countries. And let's give you an overview of what this is going to feel like. I love maps. This gives you a little bit of a map. These are all the wonderful things that are included on this particular trip. So October 20 to November 1, 2023. So we've got a little bit of time to start thinking about this, but Donna is going to talk about booking a little bit later, and you might not have as much time as you think. We'll go over that with you. You can see the map again, and I'm going to share a quick video with you. Our tour begins with our transportation to the airport and flights to Europe. After enjoying 2 nights in Zurich, we travel via motor coach to Basel and board our Viking Longship, our 7-night cruise. Along the way, we'll sail the romantic Rhine, the Mosel rivers, before finishing our tour with 2 nights in Paris. We'll start in Zurich and finish in Paris. I know I've said that a couple times, and the reason I keep reminding you is the video I'm about to show you is going to do it in the opposite order. So as you listen to it, go ahead and listen, but remember, we're going to start and do this in the opposite direction.
Join Viking for this intriguing 12-day cruise tour through 4 fascinating countries. In Paris, the City of Light, enjoy a 2-night hotel stay and a guided exploration of the city that includes a drive along the Seine River, past the city's glorious landmarks. The Louvre, Champs-Élysées, Arc de Triomphe, and others, plus time to explore on your own. Then it's on to Reims for its Gothic cathedral, and Luxembourg for the Luxembourg American Cemetery, to pay homage to those who lost their lives in the Battle of the Bulge during World War II. In Trier, stroll the quaint streets of Germany's oldest city, before beginning your voyage along the tranquil Moselle River. Step ashore in Cochem, where some of the world's finest Rieslings are produced, to enjoy a unique wine-tasting experience. You'll sail on from the Moselle to the Middle Rhine. This section of the river is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Enjoy historic Koblenz and its imposing landmark at the German corner, where the Rhine and Moselle rivers meet. In Mainz, step into one of the Upper Rhine's most dramatic cathedrals, and browse the Gutenberg Museum, dedicated to the inventor of movable type and book printing. Spa is home to a stunning Romanesque imperial cathedral that's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. While Strasbourg, straddling France and Germany, is the charming cultural center of France's Alsace region. Disembarking in Basel, Switzerland, you'll enjoy the splendor of the city's medieval Old Town district.
Then it's on to captivating Zurich, beautifully set on its namesake lake. An exploration of this fascinating city, its intriguing architecture and inspiring views, is an ideal way to conclude your Viking journey. Join
Paris and the Swiss Alps. 12 days. Let's go and do this in the order in which we're actually going to experience it. So we will fly, make our way to Zurich, and of course, right along the beautiful lake. That first day, for those that need to rest up a little bit, you can certainly do that. For any of those that are ready to go out and do a little bit of touring, they'll give suggestions and different things, not formally set up, but we can kind of, as a group, figure out what works best for everybody. And so we arrive in Switzerland's largest city, often cited as Europe's most livable place. So we'll have our transfer and everything, and we will check on in. The next day, our touring will officially begin. We'll discover Zurich during a walking tour and a lake cruise. As we explore, the distant snow-capped mountains tower across the lake and cast their reflection. So one of the best reflection photography area in the world. You'll see the twin spires from there. It's a gorgeous city, and we'll learn all about that. Then on our next day, oh, and just to give you some ideas, so included Zurich walking tour and lake cruise. You also may want to go and learn how to make your own Swiss cheese. That's an add-on. So that's one of those life experiences that Lauren was talking about. And in the evening, they actually have a special Swiss cuisine meal at one of the historic gilded homes. So this is a specific region. It's a house that actually dates back to the 1300s, and you'll have an experience of a traditional Switzerland meal. So really exciting. And that would be those extra, that would be not included, would be something that would be an extra cost. From there, we're going to transfer the next day to Basel in the morning, and we'll have a blend of both modern and tradition as we go through the thriving art scene on our way to Basel. You'll get acquainted with the market square, gilded houses, Gothic design, Renaissance, and Baroque splendor everywhere. We'll embark our ship here, and this evening we'll have our dinner on board our ship. Shore excursions that are included would be the Basel highlights, and the highlights of the Alps tour might be something that you might choose to do if you have maybe done that before, or you want to do something a little bit different. So these, of course, let's talk about the tours. With all the tours, they do have two groups, one that they call gentle walking and a regular group. So you do not have to be in one group or the other all the time. Each individual, when you're on tour, you actually have what's called a whisper system. So kind of like what's in my ear right now, except for a tour guide would be speaking. What makes that wonderful is if you've ever been behind a guide and they're talking facing forward and you can't hear them, that is not the case here. Everybody gets one of these whisper-free systems. And when you're in one of the many cathedrals, because of course we've all been to Europe and we know there's cathedrals everywhere, you don't want to be talking too loudly as a tour guide. And so it allows for that guide to almost whisper, and yet you can still hear them. So really, really nice feature that's on all of the Viking tours. From there, we'll make our way to Strasbourg. This will be day 4. We'll now enter France. And this is the Alsace region. Thanks to its location at the border of France and Germany, it boasts a mixture of cultures and influences, from its well-preserved old town to all of the wonderful marketplaces and right along the river. You'll stroll the cobblestones. It is a gorgeous area. One thing that it's known for is its cafe culture. And while you're there, you'll get a chance to experience that as well. Here, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are included. The shore excursions, so Strasbourg highlights would be your included tour. And then there are different tours that you'll have a choice of. What I love on this one, there's actually a Alsace wine tasting The region is known for its wine, so you might enjoy that. Flavors of the area. For those that like cars and engineering, the Mercedes-Benz factory is right near here, and they actually do a wonderful all-access tour to the Mercedes-Benz factory, and Strasbourg from the top. So that would be in some of the upper areas. So those are a few of the tours, and they do change. You know, in today's world, these things are always kind of fluid, and we have experienced it from literally when they started back on the water about a year ago. We were in Bermuda all the way to last fall. We were with some of you that are on the call right now in the Elbe River and through Saxony. So we really do know this product well. It's something that I actually choose to do on my own personal vacations. I just think they do a wonderful job and all the little details. And that is definitely seen with their shore excursions. And this is a fun little spot for that. On day 5, Speyer, Germany, we're going to explore this quiet German town of Speyer on the west bank of the Rhine, visiting its stunning Romanesque imperial cathedrals. It's an UNESCO World Heritage Site. 8 of the emperors of Rome, including some of the Holy Roman emperors, are actually buried there. We'll have a chance to see the cathedral. We'll go to the Old Town Gate. And again, here, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all included. The excursion, the Speyer walking tour, is what's included. And again, for those that might have walking challenges, they do have really great way of dividing the group and being able to meet all needs on these. So gardens of the Schloss Swiesen Garden is a specific garden that's right in the area. It's beautiful. If you go on their website, you can see some pictures. That's an additional tour. There's also Heidelberg and Martin Luther tour, all about his beginnings and a little bit about his faith, and that's a wonderful extra one as well. So lots of different options. On day 6, Mainz, Germany. So we'll arrive there today in the heart of the Rhine wine region. This is known for its white wines, and specifically, Heidi, what's the wine that I'm thinking of? Same as we just had. Yes, well, you'll hear about it in a video in just a second. It's escaping me. Very dry wine from this region, but it's usually very sweet, and you'll enjoy it for sure. It's a fascinating area. The walking tour again here, there is a museum, the Gutenberg Museum. Of course, this is where the printing press was invented, so you will learn all about that. Dine, there's a special dinner that evening. There's a wine and nature tour that you could do through the vineyards. There's also a Jewish mince tour that combines not only a synagogue, but also one of the beautiful churches that both have amazing stained glass windows that are quite famous to the region. Riesling was the wine that I couldn't come up with, by the way. And then from there, the next day, we will begin by sailing through the Middle Rhine. So we would have been on the Mosel. We're now basically making our way onto the Rhine. And the Middle Rhine is one of the most scenic waterways anywhere in the world. It's actually was made a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of the castles, and you will learn all about that. The Middle Rhine Valley, with its castles, historic towns, and vineyards, is affectionately referred to as the Romantic Middle Rhine. The quaint villages and medieval castles were made an UNESCO World Heritage Site, highlighted by the 13th century Marksburg Castle, which towers over the river. And of course, this is a picture of Donna and her mother. We also love to be on these trips, and she can tell you all about Marksburg Castle and this beautiful area. But the Middle Rhine really makes this part of the cruise special.
In Germany, the River Rhine cuts through steep hillsides and craggy cliffs to reveal quaint villages of half-timbered houses around every bend. This 80-mile stretch between Bingen and Bonn makes up the Middle Rhine, but the area is more affectionately known as the Romantic Rhine. In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, this idyllic setting inspired Rhine Romanticism, an artistic movement during which artists decried industrialization and turned instead to nature and the past for inspiration. Writers, painters, and composers, Lord Byron, William Turner, and Richard Wagner among them, journeyed along this sublime waterway, coming away forever changed by the experience. This historic river inspired such works as Wagner's The Ring Cycle, Heine's poem The Lorelei, and some of Turner's finest landscapes, the result of several voyages along the Rhine. In 2002, a portion of the Middle Rhine was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, in part because of its more than 40 medieval castles, such as Rheinstein Castle, once home to Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf von Habsburg, 12th century Starlet Castle, built by the Archbishops of Cologne, and Marksburg, the only Rhine castle never conquered. Even more intriguing is Pfalzgrafenstein, a toll station built on an island in the middle of the river. Chains once stretched from this island across the entire Rhine. In order to pass, one had to pay a toll, a major source of medieval revenue for the castle landowners. This majestic waterway, along the domain of knights and princes, painters and poets, offers a fascinating window into the past, as well as some of the world's most spectacular vistas. The next time you're in Europe, I hope you'll take the opportunity to explore the romantic Middle Rhine for yourself.
I think the pictures really speak for themselves. So really great part. Then day 8, Koheim. The morning we cruise through the Mosel before we disembark in the quaint town of Koheim for our tour of this stunning medieval town. It's millennial old Reichsburg Castle, sits right up on the hill. We'll visit scenic countryside, the wine region. Here you'll see all of the Riesling being grown. It's in parquets, it's up in tiers, so really interesting how it's right along the waterway, which you can see in this picture. We really enjoyed, this is the second largest wine area in Germany. We were in Saxony, which is actually the smallest of all the wine areas, but also known for their wonderful Rieslings. So really fun. From there, we will be docking in Berkestel and then in Trier, Germany. So one of the Mosel's most beloved medieval villages, a thriving wine center. As you can tell, we're going to have some wine on this trip for sure. There are some optional shore excursions. So you can do the Trier highlights, or you can do a history and wine tour here. So kind of an interesting one. From there, we're up to day 10. Day 10 is when we're actually going to leave our ship. We're going to disembark. We're going to board the motor coaches, and we're going to transfer our way to Paris, France. En route, we're going to go through Luxembourg, and we're going to go to the American Cemetery. If you know the Battle of the Bulge, that is where this basically is, and we'll have a chance to see the amazing cemetery and pay tribute to those soldiers that were in that battle. Then we'll pause in Reims to visit the cathedral. We'll stop for lunch before continuing on to Paris. When you arrive at the romantic capital of France, of course, the City of Lights, we check into our hotel for our 2-night stay. Your evening is free to explore and dine on your own. Then there are some options. Again, we'll have a tour host that is with us. Usually it's actually the tour director that's been with us the whole time that is giving us all our briefings on a daily night, going through, helping us through if we need anything as the trip goes along. This is a Viking expert, and they're actually not only usually historians, have a little bit of art and history to their background. They're very, very fun, and they kind of run everything while we're on board the ship. If we have any issues, if we decide we want to change the type of touring that we're doing, if we want to go ahead and use some of the bikes that they have on board, all of these things can be helped to be arranged that way. And unlike a big cruise, these river cruises do have a little bit more of a structure to them. So each evening, you'll actually meet. We go and they'll have drinks before we go to dinner. And at that time, they actually will do a whole discussion of what's going to happen the next day. At the end of that, the chef will come over and basically talk about dinner that evening. Seating on board is open seating, so everybody actually will get to know other people on board. There are, when it comes to dining, the main dining room, and then for breakfast and lunch, up on top in the front of the ship, the Aquavit Terrace, they do have a little bit more of like a buffet kind of style there. There is specialty coffees, cookies that are always available. So you're never going to be wondering where the next meal is going to come from. So really, really nice. Then we're in Paris. While we're there, we're going to do a guided tour on our second day. We'll go past the Seine River, of course, the city landmarks like Notre Dame Cathedral, the Louvre. There are some extra in addition to panoramic Paris, which would be included. There are some options. Paris by night is extraordinarily popular. Seeing cities at night is completely different. What I love about when we're on the Viking ships, many times on this tour, you're actually going to travel during the day because the river is so beautiful. So the Middle Rhine, you would have a morning where you're cruising, then arrive somewhere, then go off and do your touring. Other times you'll actually be moving in the evenings. We're not going really big distances. So the nice thing is often they'll be in the morning before we wake up, unless there's something scenic that they want us to be seeing. Then have your breakfast, head off for touring, then come back lots of times for lunch or stay in one of the city centers. Then you may choose to do another tour in the afternoon, or having done the wonderful walking tours, many times you're comfortable and you just walk off and do your own thing. Then people will come back for dinner, and some people don't. Sometimes you'll actually stay in a city area almost to 2 in the morning. So unlike a ship where you have to run back and be there you always have to be at a certain time, but there's much more flexibility because we're just not covering the distances. In fact, when you go on these tours, you'll note that the motor coaches that bring you on many of your tours are the same ones traveling along. So the distance are such that they can actually be there each time we stop. So really, really interesting. Another very popular tour that's an additional would be the Palaces of Versailles, panoramic Paris and Monet. You can go out and do a little bit of that, Giverny. So very, very interesting. You can learn more about all of these shore excursions on Viking's website, or once you go ahead and book the tour, there is a website dedicated called My Viking Journeys, which actually you then can, as Lauren talked about before, learn about movies. I know she had a nice word for that, but movies to the area, books that are about the area. It's all about learning. Heidi, my wife, loves to read the books before we go. I like to watch the movies. So whatever works for you is always great. Then our last day in Paris, we will be driven from our hotel. We'll make our way back to the airport, Charles de Gaulle, where we'll then fly together, having had our wonderful adventure and making our way back. Highlights of this trip: round trip transportation to the airport, flights to Zurich and home from Paris, 2 nights in Zurich, 7-night cruise, 2 nights in Paris, all meals on board, wine and beer with dinner and lunch, included shore excursion in each port, and escorted by Brett Isaacson, president of Friendship Tours. And that brings us to the last bit of our business, which is, of course, how to book. And for this, I'm going to have Donna jump on, and we'll talk a little bit about how you get the information right on our website, friendshiptours.net. If you go on to the ship shop portion, the very last trip on the page is actually this one. And there's a video there that you can watch to get a little bit of an introduction if you didn't memorize everything that I've already told you. But in addition to that, at the very bottom of the page, you'll see an area for more information, and you can pull up the flyer that's there. And Donna, I'm going to go ahead
Yes.
and have you jump on here and just kind of share a little bit about the booking process, and if I've
Sure.
forgotten anything along the way that you want to share.
No, you did a really great job. Thank you very much. So our flights normally leave out of Boston. So we would motor coach you to Boston or JFK. We look to see where we can get our best schedule, and everybody would be motor coached to the airport from the Hartford area. So that is included as part of the package, but the air is actually an additional cost. So it's hard to explain. Viking handles things a little bit differently than the normal group cruises that we have. The air is set on the day that you make the reservation. So whatever the price for the air is that particular month, that's what you would pay. So for example, if you are booking now, we believe the air is approximately $6.99 per person. So that changes almost on a monthly basis. So we would give you that air price when you do make your reservation. Viking also is a very, very interesting product for us. They are so popular that they give us our space to sell for 60 days. So it's kind of interesting. We are promoting this now, and I know people are saying, I have to book now for October of 2023. But yes, you do, because Viking Cruises, if anybody has cruised before with them, they know that their cruises sell out a year and a half, sometimes 2 years in advance. We can tell you that their Mississippi rivers are sold out, I think, until 2024. They're just incredible how their product fills very quickly. So what we have done is we have secured some cabins in a variety of space, including the French balconies and the full verandas. And we hold those cabins aside. And when you call, we actually can give you the cabins that we're holding, and we can custom pick the cabin for you. So you just let us know which one you are interested in, and then we go from there. So for example, our standard outside cabins are starting at $46.99 per person. That includes all of your government fees and taxes. And the only thing additional to that would be your air and your insurance. And what we would do is we would walk you through your different insurance options, because we work with a couple of different companies, and we would talk about the different types of insurances that are available, especially if you're traveling internationally. We would talk about what's the difference in each company and what the different costs are. The deposit is $750 a person, and that is due at the time you make your reservation. The final payment is not due until October of this year, but yes, that's true. A year in advance is your final payment due date. So that is actually pretty, that's something they do special for the ship shop. Normally, if you book with anybody else, you would have to pay your final payment the month after you make your reservation. So that is something that they do exclusively for us. They give us a year out final payment. So that's kind of how the payments work a little bit, but the process is simple. You give us a call, we talk about the different cabins. Brett's gonna go through, Brett's gone through a couple of different things on the staterooms. So we'll show you some of those. And we just go over all your maybe some special needs that you might have, and we make your reservation. The final payment, you do have the option to do, and what they call an e-check in October. You can use your checking account and actually get a discount of 3.3%, which is something that Viking does, which is pretty nice. They take a discount for you, so it saves you a little bit of money. So that's something we would go over with you as well. So I think that covers it. Everybody needs a passport, of course. That's valid for 6 months past. We take your passport information, and it needs to be valid 6 months past the return date. So you want to take a look at your passports and make sure that they're up to date.
So let's talk a little bit about, sometimes people are like, well, why should I book this with the ship shop versus booking this in some other way? One is that we have this special package. So we do have experts. I will be traveling with the group. I'm really thrilled to have had quite a bit of experience doing that. And so we're there to add some extra help and assistance. In today's world, with everything that's going on, there are lots of challenges, but when we arrive to the places that we're going, the experiences are like never before. And what do I mean by that? There just aren't as many people necessarily on the road, and so that inherently creates some really exciting things. But in today's travel world, it does mean we have to be really patient. Nothing works exactly as smoothly as it once did. There's sometimes forms and things. In fact, there are forms for each different country. Now, these change constantly with the different COVID rules, but we have been studying and working on this now since way back in 2020 when cruising started again. We were out there right in the beginning. And so Donna is absolutely an expert when it comes to finding out what these different rules are. Barbara in our ship shop, Heidi, not only are they great at figuring out what they are, but we often are the ones going on trying these forms, telling the cruise lines, hey, this isn't working right. And believe it or not, Heidi actually often creates the procedures that they then put in place. So when we say we have been there doing this from the beginning of the new travel world, we really have, and we are specialists at this. So there's definitely, you want to be a little bit savvy with your mobile devices to go on some of these trips. You do need to usually have a smartphone in today's world, so that is a little bit different. There are some forms and things like that. And then with trip protection, I think Donna said it very, very well. The reason why we have a couple different options there is there are some important things. Like in today's world, if you had to quarantine somewhere, there is a travel protection specifically for that that would cover board and food. So these are the things we've experienced. We're there to help you kind of work through it. So the places that you can stay. So on the flyer, you said the veranda. So this is what a veranda actually looks like. And it's a fancy way for saying balcony. The bedding can be either one together or the beds can be separated. But the details is really where you see the difference with Viking. In the bathrooms, it is amazing, all the details that they put in, from the TV to all these different. So this is what a veranda stateroom looks like. This is a French balcony. So you'll notice that again, it has a balcony kind of like the veranda, but no place to step outside, right? That's the big difference here. And then of course, the standard stateroom, they call that the swan view. So if you look in the upper part of her room there, you'll see a window. And they call that because if you ever looked at a swan with its feet underneath the water, right? That's kind of the view. Well, it's not quite underwater, but it's certainly right there. And it's a great way. The size is 150 square feet, so it's not dramatically smaller. Donna's actually traveled in this and tell you a little bit more about it. But I want to share what these exactly look like for you.
The new Viking Longships are a lovely place to call home while exploring the waterways of Europe. This is our veranda stateroom, which has all you need really. A fantastic, comfortable, fluffy bed. I'm not a mattress snob, but these mattresses are amazing. We have a great flat-screen Sony TV, lots of storage space, and a hairdryer, important for most of us. Soft closing drawers, of course, and a little fridge in case you brought something along your cruise that you might want to store in a fridge. And we have a very easy to use safe, as well as even more storage space here, as well as under the bed. And we have lots of great hanging closet space. From floor to ceiling. In the bathroom, there are glass doors, plush towels, the best fixtures, and amenities. Other stateroom options include the standard stateroom and the French balcony stateroom. Then, of course, there are the suites, the inviting two-room suite and the special suites located fully aft. We have 2 Explorer suites on our Longship series, and it can't get very much better than this. The Explorer suite includes a separate bedroom and a bathroom with double vanity sinks, plus a shower with a view, and a wraparound deck, home to even more spectacular views. Come, enjoy the Viking Longships and explore Europe with us in comfort.
So If for any reason, though, on this trip, you kind of have a pre-tour starting in Zurich and then a post, but if you wanted to add more days in, it would mean that you wouldn't necessarily travel with the group, but that's something that's available as well. And we're happy to talk to you. And these are just quickly two ideas of what some of that might look like. So pre or post trip. And I wanted to finish today off with the founder of Viking again. They're actually celebrating their 25th year, which is quite amazing. This was a video that was done in the 24th year, and I think it really sums up when it comes to traveling. We learned during the pandemic that it was definitely a privilege and not a right to be able to travel, and that it's something that just expands our worlds in such different ways. They often will say that there are many things that are expenses, but travel is the only thing that continues to pay us back in enrichment over and over. And I think this video really kind of gives you a way that I'd like to kind of finish our day out.
When you really philosophize about it, there's only one thing you don't have enough of, and that's time. Time is the only scarce commodity. And then, when you come to that realization, I think it's very important that you spend your time wisely. And what better way of spending time than traveling and continuing to educate ourselves and continue to broaden our minds.
Sometimes the moments are majestic, others quiet and delightfully personal. But one thing is certain. Once you're out there exploring, you're never the same. That's why we travel. For 24 years, Viking has created more ways for our guests to immerse themselves in more of the world. It's a journey that began in the most unlikely of places.
5th of August 1997, establishment of passenger fleet in Leningrad County in Russia. That is really the beginning.
From these humble roots, Viking quickly grew into the world's leading river cruise line. One of the boldest moves came in 2012 with the introduction of the revolutionary Viking Longships. 2013 brought 10 more Longships, a Guinness World Record. And in 2014, Viking named 16 Longships in a single day, another Guinness World Record. Viking Ocean Cruises was unveiled in 2013, with the award-winning Viking Star being named in 2015, followed by Viking Sea in 2016. And Viking was quickly named the world's best ocean cruise line by the readers of Travel and Leisure.
We're very proud of the design of the vessels. And after first year in operation, we are #1. And I think that's quite an accomplishment.
Viking added 4 more distinctive ocean ships by 2021, with plans to continue expanding the newest fleet at sea in the coming years. We'll build more beautiful longships to explore Europe's great rivers. And we're introducing a brand new ship on the Mekong to explore Cambodia and Vietnam. Looking ahead, Viking will sail the mighty Mississippi in 2022. While Viking Expeditions will begin explorations of the legendary polar regions and the Great Lakes, with the Viking Octantis and the Viking Polaris making great strides in being ready to join the Viking fleet.
I think these have been interesting years, but I still feel we are just a startup. We're a small little company. We have the strength of being young and dynamic, and I think we do meaningful things.
With the growth of our ocean and river fleets, plus Viking Expeditions, our guests will enjoy more ways to see more of the world. Viking, exploring the world in comfort.
For more information, visit our website, www.friendshiptours.net, where a day-to-day itinerary pricing and flyer are available. To book, give us a call at 860-243-1630.